Game is over. It's time to play the game. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 2015 World Series of Poker Main Event Final Table. That bracelet and nearly $7.7 million awaits our next champion. Fans have come from all over the world to watch poker's biggest spectacle and support players from 4 different countries. Lon McKeehen here with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. Nothing quite like poker, the Penn and Teller Theater, and November. 24-year-old Pennsylvania pro Joe McKeehen, the overwhelming chip leader to start.
As Uncle Ben said in Spider-Man, with power comes great responsibility, indeed. And with a big stack comes great responsibility as well. McKeehen expected to win, that's a lot of pressure.
Belgium's Pierre Neuville, the oldest ever November Niner at 72.
72 is just a number. Damn, that sounds old, though.
Max Steinberg is the sharpest dresser and the most accomplished player remaining.
The clothes don't make the man, the cards do, but I like how Max dresses. Beats a hoodie and a bandana over your mouth any day of the week.
McKeehen with about a third of the chips in play. Over Zvi Stern in second place. Patrick Chan and Federico Butteroni the short stacks. Let's get down to the floor for tonight's Shuffle Up and Deal from 2014 Main Event champ Martin Jacobson.
You waited 4 months for this, so I'm not going to keep you any longer. Dealer, Shuffle Up and Deal.
Good luck, kids.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck. Well, good luck. Good luck, kids. Good luck. Older gentlemen.
Here we go. 3 chips in play. The green $25K, the lavender worth $100K, and the oversized red chip worth $500,000. Federico Butteroni, the pro from Italy. He looks scared under the gun. He'll give it up. On Neil Blumenfield, the amateur from San Francisco.
We have 6 20-somethings at this final table, all poker pros, and 3 older guys, all amateurs.
Blumenfield folds, and one of those other amateurs right there, Ofer Zvi Stern, owns a software company in Israel. Ace-9's playable, but it goes into the muck.
Good job, buddy.
Now Neuville.
Trying to beat you longer. I save the time as an average.
Folded to Max Steinberg in the cutoff. The only bracelet winner here, King-Jack.
Technically, Steinberg no longer a poker pro. He's now a daily fantasy pro and probably the best-dressed daily fantasy pro out there.
I would imagine. Looks like Max wants to take a shot at the pot. Nobody else will, with King-Jack erased to $900,000. Action on Tom Cannuli now on the button.
I've got to say, if Tony Soprano were around and he's a Jersey guy like Cannuli, I don't think he'd allow anyone to wear a baseball cap indoors.
The youngest player at 23 folds. The chip leader, McKeehen, 10 tray.
The chip leader just stomped over everybody when we were down to 2 tables in July, raised almost every pot.
McKeehen can't play there. Chan folds, and Max Steinberg will take it. Max's mom, Ruth, enjoying the moment. Let's now allow the players to introduce themselves.
Seat 1, Ofer Zvi Stern, Israel.
Seat 2, Pierre Neuville from Belgium.
Seat 3, Josh Beckley, Marlton, New Jersey.
Seat 4, Max Steinberg, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Seat 5, Tom Cannuli, Cape May, New Jersey.
Seat 6, Joe McKeehen, North Wales, Pennsylvania.
Seat 7, Patrick Chan, Brooklyn, New York.
Seat number 8, Federico Butteroni, Rome, Italy.
Seat 9, Neil Blumenfield, San Francisco, California.
Well, hand 1 typically tenuous for a final table. Hand 2 now, historically, takes a while for the players to find their groove.
Stern, 37, trying to become the first Israeli main event champion.
Pierre, maybe thinking about stealing Butteroni's big blind.
Neuville trying to become the first Belgian main event champion.
Not going to go far with 9-7. Josh Beckley folds quickly to Max Steinberg. He gives way to Cannuli.
When Doyle Brunson won back-to-back main event titles in 1976 and 77, 10-deuce was the final hand each time. It's a little early for Cannuli to play 10-deuce here.
He folds to the chip leader, McKeehen. Looks down at a weak ace.
On day 7, he says, everything just went right for me. Now he's the man to beat.
All in.
Well, Joe has found his groove. A call from Chan and or Butteroni puts them at risk.
Well, Chan has less than 15 big blinds left. He needs a double up, and he knows McKeehen might be shoving light, so Patrick's thinking about this.
And there you go. He does call all in. Butteroni will look at Jack Trey and fold Patrick Chan on hand number 2 at risk.
And hand number 2, this would be the quickest elimination in November 9 history.
McKeehen informing his troops that he is ahead right now. So Joe McKeehen picking up where he left off in July. Patrick Chan trying to make a statement early. Here is the flop. No paint for Patrick. McKehen's ace high stands tall.
McKeehen knocked out Daniel Negreanu in 11th place, then Alex Turiansky in 10th. Now trying to bust Patrick Chan in 9th.
Turn card now. Chan at risk. Is a tray. McKeehen now open-ended, not changing what Patrick needs.
Chan's got to have a king or a queen, or he is first out here in the November 9.
And the river card is a 9. Ace high is good enough. Joe McKeehen quickly sinks Patrick Chan and company into the night in 9th place. Wow, a shocker. All November 9ers were paid 9th place money back in July, so Chan goes out with no extra dough. What a start to our final table. The run to this final table was eventful. And now Justin wakes up to the bad end of set over set.
You better win the tournament, idiot.
Justin Schwartz knocked out. Daniel with the aces all in. The river card is a queen for the straight. And he cuts down Daniel Negreanu.
All in.
Do we have our November Niners? Yes, we do. So Joe McKeehen has knocked out the 11th, 10th, and now 9th place finishers.
This was the 10th straight year the main event attracted more than 6,000 players. Only 252 of them, though, were female. Arizona attorney Kelly Minkin, the last woman standing, in 29th.
We now sit 8-handed at this championship table with Patrick Chan's elimination on hand number 2. Neil Blumenfield with ace-7 offsuit.
61's a good age. A lot of folks doing a lot of things at 61. Oprah Winfrey's 61. Howard Stern's 61. Jerry Seinfeld is 61.
Neil in the small blind with a raise to $1 million. Stern now. King deuce.
It seems Stern always has a tough decision pre-flop line. If I get behind him in line at Starbucks, I've got a feeling I don't get coffee that day.
He is a deliberate player, but he also is a very unpredictable player. And there's a raise to $2.8 million.
Yes, Stern is the livest wire at this final table. 3 betting with King Deuce here. Blumenfield's got his hands full figuring out his software comrade.
Amateur versus amateur as well. Blumenfield not going anywhere. Those are all $500,000 chips. And this is a 4-bet to $6.6 million. Take that, Stern.
Stern looks in the mirror, and all of a sudden he sees Neil Blumenfield.
Neil with the stare now. And Stern gives it up. What a play by Neil Blumenfield.
Hey, if Al Roker can do the weather at 61, Neil Blumenfield certainly can 4-bet at 61.
Who knew a fedora concession at the Rio would have been a golden idea, Norman? Neil approaching 30 million chips.
So I was almost going to pull a Justin Schwartz. I can't stand to be stared at for 5 minutes. I can't take it.
Before play began, we spoke to Neil about his position at this final table.
I like where I am at the table. I kind of like where I am in terms of chips. I think some of the other guys, you know, the short stacks, their lives are actually kind of easy. They're in a very simple mode. For Tom and Josh, it's a little bit tougher. I think their stacks are a little bit awkward. So we'll see. You know, I like to chip up a little bit, you know, get to 5 or 6-handed, and then see what happens.
Just before the main event, he reached an unpleasant agreement to leave the company he co-founded. Wasn't sure he'd play the main event, said it wasn't even a remote fantasy to make the November 9. Well, fantasy became reality.
Now Neil, one of the old guys. So many years, Norman, we bemoaned the fact that we'd aged out of the main event, but these guys are giving us hope.
Yes, sirree.
Neil will fold. Stern now 7-6 of diamonds. Gives way to Pierre Neuville, 72 years old, lives on the upper northwest portion of Belgium. Queen 8 of spades.
So he's 72. Here's some odd math for you. Beckley plus Cannuli plus McKeehen equals Neuville.
Oh, my goodness.
Worked last time.
McKeehen in the big blind.
You're smiling, very impressive.
Josh Beckley now. 10-8 off.
Beckley, Cannuli, and McKeehen, all from the Philadelphia area and all still living at home when this main event began.
Blinds are up. That's a min raise with a big blind at $500,000, the small blind at $250K, and now Max with a 6 folds his button to Cannuli in the small blind.
If you're a poker pro, I just think you should have your own place. I mean, Texas Dolly moved out of his parents' home like 65 years ago.
McKeehen in the big blind, 6-4 of spades, and he'll call.
Lon, I've always wanted to call a main event final table flop. Will you let me do one?
Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. 3, 4, ace, 2 clubs. Boy, that was real hard. I guess it's nice work if you can get it.
Pair of 4s for McKeehen. Beckley missed. McKeehen checks middle pair. Beckley, pre-flop raiser, continues with $1.2 million.
My mom always told me I wasn't supposed to stare at people. I guess Joe's mom disagrees.
McKeehen with the best of it. Loves to hit the flop. He calls. Turn card now. 9 of hearts. Norman, I've always wanted to do commentary just like you. Can I give it a shot?
Knock yourself out.
All right, McKeehen has a math degree at Arcadia University. I believe they are the Boilermakers.
Good for you.
McKeehen checked it. He still has the best hand with the 4s.
Beckley raised pre-flop, then bluffed at it on the flop. He's got no pair and no draw. Will Josh bluff at it again?
He's looking at his chips, but decides to check.
Okay, I'm going to call the river card. Queen of diamonds! Oh, I guess that was too dramatic.
McKehen's lowly pair of 4s is the best hand here.
But I can't imagine Joe wants to bet with 4th pair. Plus his hand has showdown value.
Check. McKeehen checks a 3rd time.
I thought Beckley gave up on this pot on the turn. I thought wrong.
$2.25 million on a snap fold from Joe.
Boy, that worked.
Great analysis. Joe may have put Josh on a certain hand, and then maybe the board connected with that hand. Tough to continue, and Beckley will take the pot. Josh started this final table just shy of $12 million. Now he's approaching 17 million chips. Beckley does what most have been unable to do, win a pot off Joe McKeehen. 10 high gives him a 20% boost to his stack. Welcome back to Las Vegas, home of the 2015 World Series of Poker Main Event Final Table. Once we had 2 tables left, Joe McKeehen ramped up his aggression. That strategy shift paid immediate dividends, though his strategy at this final table seems to be a bit simpler.
It's just a poker tournament. I'm just going to go and play. That's all I've been doing. I expect to play my best, that's all. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose.
Listening to Joe, it sounds like he's on his way to an IRS audit rather than playing for $7.7 million.
Folded to Joe with ace-8. 2 red chips is a raise to $1 million. Folded to Neil Blumenfield in the small blind with ace-king.
Blumenfield said he intended to be a far better player in November than he was in July. To that end, he hired an all-star group of pros, among them Tom Marchese, Matt Stout, Amir Lehavot, and Brett Hanks, to run simulations here in Las Vegas.
He told me he had somewhat of a game plan no matter what his holdings, that he was just going to go forward with his game plan. Ace-King helps that game plan. A 3-bet to $2.6 million. Stern folds, so back to McKeehen now.
McKeehen wearing the jersey of Eagles linebacker Connor Barwin. Barwin signed a contract with the Eagles in 2013 that included $8 million guaranteed. McKeehen looking for $7.7 million guaranteed here.
Poor Federico Butteroni caught in the middle of these 2 stairs. Well, Joe's not going anywhere. That is a 4-bet to $6.2 million.
And Joe wants to see how a 4-bet goes with Blumenfield's hat and scarf ensemble.
Blumenfield being tested early. Third biggest stack at the table.
I'm all in.
Oh my, a 5-bet all in and a snap fold from Joe.
And Blumenfield, the first 61-year-old to 5-bet since Aaron Burr versus Alexander Hamilton in 1804.
Neil playing his way to stardom, forcing the chip monster to back down. Neil with over $28.5 million. McKeehen still very comfortable up top, but he hates to retreat. A lot has been made about the age of Neil Blumenfield and Pierre Neuville, and with good reason. Since the inception of the November 9 in 2008, they are the two oldest players to reach the final table.
The last player over 40 to win the main event was 40-year-old amateur Robert Varconi in 2002. The last player over 50 to win was 61-year-old Irishman Noel Furlong in 1999.
And Neil admitted he was a bit miffed that Pierre stole his thunder as the oldest November 9er. Blumenfield in the cutoff looks down at another big hand, ace-queen.
Blumenfield says being 61 today is far different than being 61 in his parents' generation. Really? Then how come I'm 57 and feel like I'm 87?
That's what happens when somebody carries you for 13 years.
Wow.
With ace-queen suited, Neil raises to 1.1 million. On the button is Stern, king-jack of hearts.
If I walk into DMV and see Stern in line, I figure I'll just go another day with an expired license.
Stern reaching for chips. Those are raising chips.
He's picking up the pace a little here.
Over Zvi raises it to 3,150,000. Pierre with pocket aces in the small blind.
Neuville would become the oldest main event champ at 72. Johnny Moss was just shy of his 67th birthday when he won in 1974.
Good spot for Pierre, and here comes the 4-bet. Beckley folds ace-queen, and now back to Blumenfield, who squirms in his chair.
And Pierre breaking Neil's 4-betting age record set just a few minutes ago.
Pierre, what do you have behind?
Oh, when you ask Pierre how many chips he has behind, generally he'll just move his hand and let you figure it out.
Neil has him easily covered and gives up his ace-queen. Now back to Stern, king-jack of hearts.
Solid fold from Blumenfield. Stern doesn't like the sound of solid fold.
But he does indeed fold. Neuville takes it with aces.
Then you'll see them. You'll see the few minutes. But there is only one.
It's early at this final table, but all the re-raising is coming from Blumenfield and Neuville.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion.
Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that fight?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
The bright lights of the Neon Museum. Just a short drive down Las Vegas Boulevard from tonight's action at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino. An atmosphere unlike any other in poker at the Penn and Teller Theater. McKeehen still the big-time chip leader. Butteroni the short stack. Tom Cannuli, the youngest player at this table, might have the most mature perspective of anyone at this championship table.
You know, just like being a little kid and like having a dream and like working every day and fighting and never quitting. I can't really put it into words for you because it's just something that was inside of me that I was never gonna quit. You know, I was either gonna die or I was gonna fight until I got here.
Cannuli says anything's possible with hard work. That's his message. It's a simple one, and it's a good one.
Tom, the second short stack at this table now with 8.2 million. Neuville, who just had aces in the cutoff, has queens.
Neuville says he can play poker another 30 years. Wow. Trust me, Lon and I will not be here.
Well, with over Zvi Stern at the table, that's not going to be a problem. With the pocket queens, a raise to $1,275,000. Beckley on the button. Folds trade deuce. Max Steinberg. I love the new suit. Ace-7.
That's the bluest blue I've ever seen in a main event final table, but Max looks good in blue.
In the small blind, Max wondering what Neuville's up to. He folds to Cannuli. King-9 suited.
Cannuli sets his goals high. 1, he's always wanted to win the main event. 2, he wants to make the Poker Hall of Fame.
What a goal that is. Of course, tonight's champion joins the likes of Doyle Brunson, Stu Unger, Johnny Chan, Phil Hellmuth, all Hall of Famers, all main event champs. King-9, Cannuli calls.
Nearly a 50-year age difference in this hand.
Here's the flop. Both with Broadway draws. Cannuli also with a flush draw. Pierre's queens, though, are still best for the moment. Tom checks.
But that's a pretty bad flop for pocket queens in general, and especially against Cannuli's hand.
Pierre checks back. Turn card now, 4 of hearts, and Cannuli finds the nut flush. Pierre's pocket queens are useless.
Cannuli with the nuts, and Neuville checking back to see if he has a heart. It's probably good news that he doesn't.
Tom, a big fan of Stu Unger, the movie Rounders, but says he's never read a poker book. Reaching for chips. That's $1 million.
Yeah, it's a small turn bet intended to induce Gramps to call.
Pierre drawing dead, but still adding chips to the pot, makes the call. River card is a king. Oh my, Neuville, River's Broadway, but of course it's not good enough against the flush.
Yeah, that increases the chances Cannuli gets paid off here. Just the worst possible card on the river for Pierre Neuville.
Tom getting short stacked. That's about half his remaining stack, $3.2 million.
How much?
3.2.
Now, Neuville's going to end up losing about a quarter of his stack here if he calls. Tough to get away from Broadway.
Pierre does make the call. Cannuli with a jump start he needed. What a tough hand for Pierre.
First one, right?
Cannuli's poker skills are well known at this table and well respected. A nice pot at a key time for Cannuli. That blind defense, well, that worked out quite well. The 23-year-old is from Cape May, New Jersey. He frequents the cash games in Atlantic City.
He used to log 1 million hands a year online. I did the math on that. To play 1 million hands a year, you can only eat 5 meals a week. That's less than 1 meal a day. That can't be good for the body.
All right, folded 2. Joe McKeehen on the button, ace, king of spades.
McKeehen was on his high school bowling team, 160 average. He doesn't bowl much anymore, so he might be down to my 145 average.
Min raised to $1 million. Butteroni in the small blind with ace-jack.
Butteroni has been on the short stack, has not seen a flop yet. He's down to 4 big blinds.
Still looks to me like he's about to take his 5th grade picture.
All in.
He says all in for 2.4.
Federico waited a while for a hand as good as ace-jack, and it's no good.
In the big blind, Neil has a weak ace. Neil will not get involved. A quick call from Joe McKeehen. Butteroni at risk and dominated.
Butteroni looking like a man sentenced to the gallows.
So Joe with a chance for another knockout. Butteroni has had no opportunities for his effervescent style of celebration.
Butteroni's bid to become Italy's first main event champion is in deep trouble.
His ace-jack at risk against the ace-king of the chip leader. The flop, no jack for Federico.
Yeah, bleak looking board for Federico's ace-jack.
No runners.
Joe feeling quite untroubled.
No runners. Huh? No runners. If he gets a runner, I get a runner too.
Yeah. Well, those are runners then.
Turn card now. 9 of spades. The Italian down to his last chance.
It's on Federico to hit, so maybe we can go here and go crazy.
Butteroni has to have a jack and a jack only, or he is wamboozled.
The river card is a 7. McKeehen does it again. The executioner's axe falls on Federico Butteroni, who finishes his first ever main event in 8th place.
Yeah, great finish for the 25-year-old from Rome.
That's worth almost $1.1 million for Federico Butteroni. He was a joy to have. He waited and waited until he couldn't wait any longer, and just like that, Federico Butteroni becomes another notch in Joe McKehen's belt. One of the class acts at this year's final table, Federico Butteroni, eliminated. He's with Kara Scott right now.
Italy's Federico Butteroni out in 8th place. Such amazing people that have been here watching you. People came all the way from Australia as well. So what was it like to have everyone surrounding you in this moment?
That is the most important victory. For this, I would like to say thanks to all my friends that came here to support me, all my family, all the Italians that support me, and to the United States for giving me this beautiful dream. And I was leaving, and I think it was a huge experience, very nice experience, and so happy that I could be part of that.
Thank you so much. Out in 8th place, Federico Butteroni.
He was a kid with a dream.
So 7 remain with a guaranteed payout of about $1.2 million. Tom Cannuli, the short stack now with 16 big blinds. Under the gun, Neil Blumenfield, pocket fours.
And Neil was a debate champion in high school. He used to cut classes to do debate research. In fact, he cut so many classes, he actually flunked French. So he's got a French girlfriend now, and he doesn't understand a word she says.
And she gives him plenty of grief for that. A raise to $1.2 million from Blumenfield with a small pocket pair. Pierre Neuville, ace-king.
Neuville won online satellites for a record 23 consecutive EPT main events. Man, you've got to have a good internet connection to do that.
Neuville just calls with ace-king. Beckley with king-queen, and he folds. To Max Steinberg on the button.
Chris Moneymaker famously turned a $39 online satellite into $2.5 million here. Steinberg trying to turn a $27 daily fantasy satellite into $7.7 million.
The man with the suit folds the suited cards. To McKeehen, he gives it up.
Finally, we get one with the old man.
Yeah, the two eldest here.
First one, I think.
Norman, I'm going to venture a guess this is the oldest heads-up battle at any main event final table.
You might be right.
All right, here we go. Ace-king against pocket fours. The flop, and there's a 4 for Neil and top pair for Neuville.
Big flop.
Neil with the set. Josh Beckley walks away. He had king-queen. Neil reaching for chips. No slow play.
Never slow play against an older player. They don't have the time.
$1.6 million. He could probably demand a higher price if he knew what was going on here.
Boy, Neuville cursed by premium hands. His pocket queens got crushed by Cannuli's flush. Ace-king in the process of getting crushed by Blumenfield's flopped set.
Pierre with top pair, top kicker. Just a call. Turn card is another queen. That's not going to make Josh feel any better. Neil improves to 4 is full and checks. They both check.
Queen's full for Josh, but he's not at the table.
That's true. River card, tray of spades. So Blumenfield is best here.
Well, here comes the software guy and his chapeau.
How much does he think he can get? That's a healthy bet. $4 million.
Pierre might be able to get away from this. He can't beat a queen. Spades got there. But it's tough to lay down top pair, top kicker here.
Pierre gives away more chips and sees once again he's on the short end. Neil Blumenfield wearing out his supporters so far tonight, up to 58 big blinds. He takes over second place again. What an unlucky board for Pierre Neuville, down to $7.5 million. 15 big blinds for Pierre, but if there's anyone at this table who can use his life experience to battle back, it's Pierre. A successful career in business, now a blossoming poker career.
It's been a life in 3 acts for Pierre. Played poker early and it helped him pay for college. Then a long career as a toy executive. Then back to poker in retirement, and he received the European Lifetime Achievement Award.
Blinds at 300, 600,000. Max on the button with Queen 8.
Max says daily fantasy and poker are similar for their emotional ups and downs. Of course, daily fantasy is a game of skill, and poker is not.
A raise to $1.4 million from the 4th biggest stack. Cannuli folds is small. In the big, McKeehen, ace-5 offsuit.
McKeehen did not play a single hand against Steinberg at this main event until we got down to this final table.
And he will make the call and go heads up against Max Steinberg, arguably the 2 most talented players at this table. Here's the flop, and a big flop for Max, trip queens. A check from McKeehen, who whiffed.
Well, you've got to check your monster here, Max. I know you don't play much poker anymore. Trust me. Check. Check, Max. Check.
Check he does. Max had a plan, he said, for each and every player. Flopping trips against McKeehen was plan A. McKeehen pairs up, which may hook him a bit deeper. He checks again.
Oh, this is all falling into place now, Lon. The fall of the chip monster is in progress. Steinberg can bet now, and McKeehen will call now because he paired his ace.
The bet, $1.9 million. Joe McKeehen, minored in reading souls. He makes the call.
This is how the fall of Blockbuster Video began.
River card now. King of Hearts puts 4 cards to Broadway on the board. Joe McKeehen has gone check, check, and makes it a 3rd time.
Yeah, that's not the best card for Max to see. McKeehen could have had a hand like ace-jack or jack-10, and then he would have made Broadway on the river.
Well, Max has to try to get something out of his trips and hope that McKeehen doesn't have the jack. $4 million.
Yeah, Steinberg not worried about Broadway. Actually, Max is dressed for Broadway, so why should he worry?
Exactly. A confident bet from Max.
Having fun yet? Got anything?
Yeah, Max might not have anything. It was a button raise. He could have 9 deuce.
Man, I think you got it, Max. Do you think you have it? You got it.
There's the fold. Not sure that Max had what Joe thought, but Max had enough.
Didn't want to show the 8-7 to the table? I could beat the 8-7.
I didn't have 8-7.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I thought I had it, and then I thought you had it, so I decided, you know what, you can win one.
Max, are you grateful he let you win one?
Max said performing at this, the biggest final table there is, can be unnerving.
There's pressure from a lot of different things. I mean, first of all, it's on TV, so you're open to criticism from a bunch of people you don't know. Then you have I have 100 friends and family coming out to watch me, and I don't want to let them down. And then there's also just myself. Can I prove to myself that that I can do well on a stage like this? And so there's pressure coming from all sides.
But Max says that he honestly thinks he'll be the most comfortable of anyone here at the November 9.
You heard the post-hand verbal jousting and prodding. Poker has a subtext all its own. Max will sit this one out.
Never say die. At the start of day 7, Neil Blumenfield was 20th in chips out of 27. Josh Beckley was 22nd, and Max Steinberg was 24th, all now in the final 7.
Joe McKeehen was dealt 2 cards, right? So he will raise. Makes it $1 million, too.
Since the latter stages of day 7, McKeehen has been crushing people.
Minimum raise from McKeehen. Stern folds to Pierre Neuville. Ace-jack of clubs, and he's all in for only $3 million. And a quick call for McKeehen.
Yeah, like Federico Butteroni, Neuville might have waited too late to shove. Just 5 big blinds left, but in good shape to double up.
Yeah, Pierre has the chip leader dominated. Oh, Pierre on his feet, looking for a small double up. Got to get started somewhere. His wife, Claudine, his biggest supporter, can't bear to watch.
Good luck, man.
Yeah, all you need is 3 more 6s for quads.
That's right.
All right.
Oh, yeah, wow, the Norman Chad jokes if I win this one with a 6.
Yeah. I've got to get my writing staff on that. I have no jokes for winning with a 6.
Pierre looking to hang on.
Got a lot of history with this hand. It's the only reason I opened it.
Good, bad, or indifferent?
Oh, it's just, everyone's on TV is going to see it and go nuts.
All right, here's our flop. Neuville at risk. Queen 10 tray. Pierre still best. Picks up her Broadway draw.
Good looking flop for a double up.
You can chop.
It's going to be hard to chop. Yeah.
Claudine still hiding.
Do you not see the heart out there? Come on.
Is that enough?
Turn card is a hard McKeehen with a flush draw. Pierre with a 6 feeling in the pit of his stomach.
Yeah. Do you not see 2 hearts out there?
Now, McKeehen hasn't lost an all-in since the Bush administration. I mean Bush the elder. A 6 or any heart would knock out Pierre Neuville.
The river card. Oh, the 10 of hearts! McKeehen ran him down, scoring the river flush.
That was ugly.
Pierre not amused.
Well, Pierre Neuville will not become the oldest main event champion ever, but what a main event it was for the 72-year-old.
A top-shelf performance, finishing 7th in this 2015 main event. Pierre Neuville wins over $1.2 million. And going back to 11th and 10th, that is 5 straight knockouts by Joe, who keeps his vice-like grip on this main event.
Do you not see the heart out there?
Joe called it.
Told ya.
And the deck cooperated. Pierre Neuville out in 7th place.
No time.
After a 4-month wait, 3 special nights of final table action got underway. Back in July, 6,420 players paid $10,000 apiece to take part in poker's greatest More than 91 million chips. Stern started this final table in second. He remains there. Likewise, Blumenfield for third place. Beckley and Cannuli, the two short stacks. One of the players we thought would give Joe a run for his money is that guy, Max Steinberg, the best-dressed player at this table.
I'm going to go to try on some suits for the final table. Do you want to come?
Hell yeah, dude.
Awesome. All right. I'll see you there in like an hour. Is that cool?
Sounds good.
We're at a custom suit shop. I'm here to pick out my suit for the final table. Ricky, how's it going?
Hey,
good
Max.
to see you.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Hey, good to see you.
I started dressing nicely when I made my first final table. Got like a nice shirt, I got a tie, and it's evolved into the point where now I'm wearing suits. I just feel empowered in a suit playing poker. It makes me feel confident.
Let's go design some custom suits.
Let's do it.
So we are a lifestyle destination shop. We are a gentleman's haberdashery. If you haven't experienced the custom process, it's just something that every guy needs to experience once.
A lot of the guys who are dressed up pretty well are often recreational players, so it might actually just give you an edge because people play incorrectly against you. Are you gonna wear a bow tie?
Going for the Bill Nye look for the final table. I don't think the other players care that I'm wearing a suit. I'm not worried about what they're feeling or thinking. I'm just thinking about myself.
In men's fashion, you have to accessorize. You can't leave the house without your pocket square. Lapel pins, timepiece, bracelets. You can't over-accessorize. So why don't we try a few things on? Our black label dinner jacket looks phenomenal on you.
Too flashy?
No, I think it's flashy done well.
Yeah.
But like I said, you can't not have a lapel accessory.
I like it a lot. Suit number 2.
Suit number 2 is looking good. The pink pinstripe and then all the pink accoutrement. I think you look phenomenal.
I love the suit.
This one's pretty much perfect.
This look is brilliant.
Solid.
To you, Max, we wish you the best of luck.
Get out of here.
I love Max upping the ante on what players wear at the table, but I don't want to hear the word accoutrement ever again.
Steinberg under the gun with King Jack, a raise to $1.5 million. He says his experience of winning a World Series bracelet has been invaluable to him at this special moment. McKeehen with pocket nines.
McKeehen, a t-shirt and sweatpants type of guy, and unlike Max Steinberg, I don't think he gets them custom made.
He was tested as a preschooler. His parents were advised to send him to private school so he'd be properly challenged. So even with the kiddie games down the street, Joe was crushing it. All right, McKeehen made the call. Heads up against Max Steinberg's King Jack. Here is the flop and a pair of jacks for Steinberg to overtake the pocket nines. Max checks. Joe sees 2 overcards to his pocket pair. He checks back.
That was an angry check from a chip leader.
6 of clubs, no change to the current pecking order. Max checks again. They're dressed like the prince and the pauper, but in this story, the pauper owns most of the kingdom. McKeehen with a bet of $1.8 million.
Steinberg playing his jacks soft, so McKeehen understandably figures his nines are good here. This is poker's version of the mean mug.
That look would induce a lot of folds no matter what you held, but Max does muster up a call. River card, tray of clubs, 3rd club on board. Max has the best hand. He checks again.
Max has checked flop, turn, and river. I don't think he plays well in this new suit.
Joe checks back.
Check.
A jack beats an angry check.
Steinberg will stack the winnings, but those chips just get him back to even here at this final table. He's going to need to accelerate soon. He does have the best dressed crowd here too. McKeehen still the overwhelming chip leader under $88 million. Max told us he wears suits at the poker table because it empowers him. Hard to argue with his results. A World Series bracelet and $2 million in earnings before making this final table.
Max has done some work during the break with Jared Tendler, author of The Mental Game of Poker. Max says it was almost like therapy.
Under the gun, Tom Cannuli, one of the short stacks with 1 ace with 2 black aces.
Cannuli throws himself full throttle into whatever he does. First it was basketball, then the Halo 2 video game, then paintball, and now poker. Poker definitely suits him.
Tom starting the hand with about $10.3 million now with the best starting hand in the game. A raise to $1.4 million. King 5 of clubs for Joe.
Cannuli played with McKeehen at a World Series event last year. At the end of day 1, McKeehen told Cannuli, "Don't forget me when you win a bracelet." The next time they were playing together at the World Series was day 7 of this main event.
Folded to the button over Zvi Stern. It's been pretty quiet lately.
Well, Stern's going to think about it, as always. I don't know the exact math here, but 8 plus 6 equals squadouche.
And they're into the muck. Steinberg now in the big blind. And as you know, Norman, 10s are the only card in the deck with 2 digits, so sometimes it looks bigger than it actually is.
It's incredible. I think you're a worse poker player than I am. Max used to meditate twice daily. He no longer meditates, although to me, daily fantasy and daily meditation go hand in hand.
All in.
All in. Cannuli's going to double check. Snap call with the aces.
Bad time for pocket 10s. Great time for pocket aces. Cannuli was down to 17 big blinds. Pocket aces arrived just in time.
Max full speed ahead with the 10s, but ran into the aces.
He went to snap, and then he had to look back.
You
had to know you were bad at that spot.
Yeah, as soon as he double checked, I was like...
Cannuli poised for the double up. Steinberg in for half his stack.
Team Cannuli with a chain of love waiting to flop, and a 10 for Steinberg! Oh, soul-crushing for Tom Cannuli.
That flop wipes the smile right off of Tom Cannuli's face. Soul-crushing indeed.
Here comes the queen of clubs, probably.
Steinberg now trying to hang on and knock out Tom Cannuli. Turn card. A queen and more outs for Tom with a Broadway draw. Steinberg needing to fade danger on one more street.
To survive, Cannuli needs an ace or a king.
The river card is an 8, and Steinberg dishes the bad beat. Pocket ace is not good enough. This will not be Tom Cannuli's year of a world championship.
Sudden ending for a super kid.
What a time to have to absorb that devastating blow, but Tom Cannuli is handling it with class and dignity. A nice pop to Max's stack. A lucky pop, but a pop nonetheless.
Take the chips, leave the Cannuli.
What a run for Tommy Guns. Tom Cannuli, this 23-year-old could be back here soon, I think. He really was the kid with a dream. No one wore his heart on his sleeve more than Tom Cannuli, the youngest player at the table with perhaps the brightest poker future here. But tonight, his dream of a championship bracelet and $7.7 million ends in 6th place. Just before the break, 23-year-old Tom Cannuli was eliminated by 27-year-old Max Steinberg. Tom's with Kara now.
Tom Cannuli is out in 6th place. You came in with a really tough seat at the table. So talk to us about the journey to this point.
It's the most incredible journey anybody can have if you love poker. It's just incredible. Like, I can't really describe how it feels for me personally, but it's a lot of people's dream. Everybody wants to win, you know.
You've got an amazing crowd here of supporters, friends in the poker world, friends from your childhood. What's it been like to have them all here surrounding you?
It's a moment that I don't know if I could ever get unless I'm here. So it's once in a lifetime that I could have all my friends and family and uncles, cousins, aunts, everybody. It's just incredible, and I love them dearly, and I'm just really thankful they're here.
And they clearly love you dearly as well. Thank you so much for talking to us out in 6th place.
5-handed now. Beckley is the short stack with Cannuli gone.
Figure it out like midway through the deal and you get him running. Yeah. Run. There we go.
Well, McKeehen wants to make sure he gets everybody's chips, and he can't unless they're at the table losing hands to him.
They've got to be at the table by the time the dealer dishes out the last card. Max under the gun. 5 tray, he folds to McKeehen. King 8 of spades. He'll raise it. 1.2 million.
McKeehen started this main event final table with the highest percentage of chips in play, nearly 33% of anyone in the post-Moneymaker poker boom era. At the moment, he's got 87 million chips. Blumenfield is next with 33 million.
Neil folds to the small blind over Zvi Stern with 7-5.
He says his greatest strength is identifying his mistakes and fixing them. Stern says, I'm a great Monday morning quarterback to myself.
He'll fold to Beckley, ace-9 of hearts in the big blind.
This is Beckley's first main event. Nice debut.
Look at that, casual all in. McKeehen will give it up quickly.
Well, Beckley just took away maybe 1% or so of McKehen's chips.
That brings Josh over 11 million chips, something for his supporters to cheer about.
Can we just pretend I think like 30 seconds before folding there?
Like you just put that in your head. I feel like you had the best hand there.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He thought so, too.
If Josh looks a little different than he did this summer, it's with good reason. He's taken a serious interest in improving his lifestyle.
Yeah, my changes are I've been like eating healthier and working out, and I've reached out to other poker players to find out like what to do in certain situations, and I've like watched videos like previous November 9 final tables, and I've just used this time to better myself in every way.
Josh the short stack in the big blind, action on Stern in the small blind. 10-9 of spades. And Beckley has aces.
All in. I call.
Yeah, why not? And here is a double up made to order for Josh Beckley.
Well, Stern pushes there for more than 40% of his stack and runs into aces. I don't know if that's a Martin Jacobson approved play.
No, Jacobson says to Stern it's all right, but Beckley's rail sees it's all good.
We saw Tom Cannuli's aces cracked by Max Steinberg's 10s, and he went home. Now Beckley's aces at risk against Stern's 10-9 suited.
No sweat. No sweat.
All right, here's the flop, and it's pretty bleak for Stern.
Nothing close. Yeah, that flop much kinder to Beckley's pocket aces than Cannuli saw with his pocket aces. Stern needs runners.
Yep, as you mentioned, a big portion of his stack at risk. Turn card, tray of spades, that will do it. Stern can't catch up, drawing dead. Beckley rides the aces to a double up. A steal gone bad for Zvi Stern. Beckley up to almost 30 million. Aces take it from Tom Cannuli and give it to Josh Beckley. That's why we love and hate poker at the same time.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high roller bowl 7 champion. Oh yeah!
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that fight?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Before this final table started, the Poker Hall of Fame inducted 2 new members, John Jawanda and Jennifer Harmon.
It's a pat on the back to know that your peers respect your play and all the hard work that you've put in over the years, grinding and trying to get as good as you can.
Jawanda, a 5-time World Series bracelet winner. Harmon, the first woman to win 2 open event bracelets and a consistent winner in the biggest cash game in town.
Jen in attendance. John Jawanda, living overseas, could not make the trip. Action on Beckley in second place now in the small blind. Jack 6 and a raise to 1.9 million. Steinberg in the big. 4 deuce of diamonds.
Battle of the blinds. Scarf versus suit. Clean shaven versus beard. Somewhat similar haircuts, though.
And nearly even stacks in the low 30 million range. Next elimination worth 1.9 million. And there's a call from Max. All right, here's our flop. Queen 6, Jack 2 diamonds. Jack's up for Beckley.
They both got a piece of that flop line.
Beckley reaching for chips.
Beckley says he hasn't gone longer than a week without playing poker in 10 years. That's like me and you, Lon. I don't think we've gone longer than a week without seeing each other in 10 years.
Yeah, I got Josh to the main event final table. I just got 2 more years with you.
Good for you.
Beckley bets 2.1 million. Steinberg with a flush draw.
Yeah, this hand could significantly alter the landscape of this final table. As you mentioned, they both have similar stacks, about 40 big blinds each.
And there's the call for 2.1 million.
And then they politely and awkwardly look at each other.
Turn card. 10 of spades. Beckley still good.
Not so long ago, Beckley was losing his bankroll. Of course, many poker players go broke at some point. Jesse Alto, one of the greatest main event performers ever, when he went bust, he would borrow money from his wife, Bertha, who would make him pay interest on the loan.
Yeah, Josh, this cash game specialist at first, played his first poker tournament in 2014, and he won it. He bets 3.8 million with jacks up.
Max getting 3-1 here with a small flush draw. Is he willing to give up that 12 million in the pot?
Yep, Max is not going anywhere. There's the call. River card now. Beckley ahead. And Beckley seals it with the full house on the river.
Well, if Josh thinks Max has a strong hand, you know, like a queen, he can bet for value here and get called. But if he thinks Max was on a draw, he should check here and let Max try to bluff at it.
Beckley reaching for a lot of the red chips, hoping Max has a hand. 10.1 million.
Max doesn't have a very good hand. In fact, he's playing the board. So this is raise or fold, and I'd have to advise against a raise here.
With the busted flush draw, he does muck Beckley on a roll.
Yeah, maybe this is the year of the scarf in poker.
Yeah, next year may be the year of the fedora, but Steinberg taking the hit, just over 23 million. Josh over 41 million, solidifying his hold on second place. So a nice boost to Beckley's stack as Steinberg chased a flush that turned into Beckley's full house. Josh's first time at the main event has proved to be quite successful, as his live earnings will officially skyrocket once this table finishes.
He's worked at ShopRite, he's worked at Sears, he's worked at TD Bank. Now Josh works for himself.
Having 100K chips, you know.
Action on over Zvi Stern. He caught the poker bug watching Greg Raymer win the 04 main event. He got to meet his hero when he came to Vegas to play his first World Series event. Ace-Jack for Stern. Stern with 11.5 million into the pot. Not everything he's got.
Curiously, he leaves 400,000 behind. That should cover the taxi ride back to his hotel here.
Beware the tunnel. McKeehen will fold.
Well, he's got one more guy to get through, and he's not going to get through Neil Blumenfield.
Ace-King off.
I'm all in.
You want to play for it all over?
What is your name? What is your name?
Whitney.
Whitney?
Oh, I need the dealer's name before he put in the final 400,000.
He exposed his cards.
Neil's got his cards turned face up.
He hasn't called yet, Neil.
All right, there's the call. Stern officially at risk and dominated.
Yeah, Stern needs to get lucky, or we will be forehanded.
Neil's girlfriend Pascal likes what she's seeing. That might have been the messiest all-in of a November Niner I've ever seen. All right, here's the flop, and no relief in sight.
One software guy trying to knock out the other. Where's the stability in the software industry?
Stern looking for a jack. Turn card is the king of diamonds, and that'll close it out. Neil Blumenfield eliminates Zvi Stern.
The man in the hat takes care of the man in the hoodie, but a great payday for Zvi Stern.
And if you can't beat him, join him. He's got a Neil Blumenfield t-shirt. He had left Las Vegas to go back to Israel. Last-minute decision to come back and play the main event. It was indeed a profitable one. Neil passes Steinberg on the leaderboard and lands in third place. He started off 3, 4, and 5. Welcome back to Las Vegas. 4 players remaining, each guaranteed a huge payday, each with a chance at the gold bracelet and the title of world champion. Plus, I hear there's a wheelbarrow full of Benjamins waiting for the new champ.
We are down to 3 20-somethings and the 61-year-old Neil Blumenfield.
Aces for Neil. I'll have whatever hat he's wearing, sir.
I love his attitude, Lon. He knows he's lucky to be here. He knows the other players are more skilled than he is, but he also knows if the cards cooperate, he can actually win this thing.
Yeah, he's got a Dennis Phillips quality to him, though with a better hat, a likable amateur, carrying the hopes of all the home game grinders that poker's door is open for anyone to succeed. With the aces, a raise to 1.9 million. Beckley now king-9 of spades on the button.
Beckley played 15 to 18 World Series events this year, says he specialized in falling apart on day 2. See, I fall apart on day 1 to save myself time.
Well, Beckley using some of that newfound chip muscle, but it is ill-timed to re-raise to 3.8 million. Max with queen-8 off. He folds to McKeehen in the big blind. He gives it up back to Blumenfield with the aces.
And you love when someone raises behind you when you've got pocket rockets.
Neil could use some more chips.
8.4.
He announces a 4-bet to 8.4 million.
And the way he announced that, it was as if he was saying, kid, this is 8.4 that is never going into your stack on this hand. It depends on Beckley's read here. If he thinks Blumenfield is 4-betting light, Josh could 5-bet this baby.
Beckley has Neil heavily out-chipped, and he will give it up. And the lone amateur now at this championship table, giving fits to the others.
Like how Blumenfield's older crowd doesn't get up as often when they're cheering.
Josh gives up some of his wealth.
Slow down. You're 61. You don't want to get a heart attack, man.
My heart is great.
Is it? Good for you.
My heart's probably better than yours.
100% true. I saw the way you guys live on TV. You just look at me and take a guess. Yeah. Well, beer's whatever. Did how everyone was going to play. I got like 3 of them right on this final table. Well, 2 of them I didn't count the short stack, so it's out of like 6. But.
Well, then you were 50-50.
Yeah.
You got me right. You got me nailed,
I did not have you right at all.
McKeehen with queens. Owner of 2 World Series of Poker circuit rings with a raise to $1.6 million. Neil folds. Beckley in the big blind with pocket jacks.
This is how Joe McKeon's main event has gone of late. Beckley picks up a premium hand, a huge hand four-handed, but McKeon's got a better one. Dangerous territory for Josh Beckley.
Yeah, there's the expected re-raise to $4 million.
McKeehen started this hand with $95 million, half the chips on the table. Beckley is the second biggest stack with $42 million.
Uh-oh. Here's a 4-bet. Putting those up on the raising deck. $10.2 million now back at you, Josh.
And what a huge moment for Josh. I don't think he wants to take a flop out of position. Beckley just might 5-bet shove with his jacks here, and that would be disastrous.
Josh Beckley gives up the jacks. What a fold!
Yeah, what a great fold from Josh. We saw Josh make a big river fold against Joe McKeehen on day 7 to save his main event.
McKeehen over 100 million chips. Beckley with a fold of the final table.
You seen a 5-bet yet? I think, yeah, we did. I did it to him when I 4-bet folded. He shoved.
As Joe continues to extend his lead, it's worth looking at how his hometown teams have done in the championship column, and it's not pretty, Norman.
It's Philadelphia. Eagles, losers. Flyers, losers. 76ers, losers. Phillies, losers. It's no accident this Liberty Bell has a crack. I'm sure that came from an overthrown Mark Sanchez pass.
McKeehen under the gun, 9-8. Looks right, looks left, says, watch out, boys. $1.6 million.
McKeehen and Beckley both from the Philadelphia area. If I'm the 76ers, I might hire one of these guys as general manager.
Queen 9 of clubs for Beckley in the small blind. Folding those jacks likely saved Josh a big portion of his stack. He just calls for $1.2 million more. Steinberg in the big blind, 6 deuce. He'll be a spectator. All right, heads up. McKeehen dominated, but that does not seem to matter to him at all. Here's the flop.
I have a short-term memory. Have you figured that out yet?
5-8 king all hearts. McKeehen with middle pair and a flush draw.
Beckley bought a BMW after making the November 9. McKeehen drives a Prius. Sometimes a Prius can outperform a BMW.
They both check. Turn card now. Ace of hearts, and McKeehen turns the flush.
Beckley has no pair, no heart, and no hope unless he bets. The stare.
There is nothing like it. Beckley commits $2.3 million here.
You know, Beckley might have taken this pot down with a 3-bet pre-flop. That bet is not going to do the job here.
McKeehen just with a call, holding the 9 of hearts. River card now. 6 of spades.
And now Beckley can just wave the white flag if he wishes. Or he can put the pedal to the metal and try to speed past the Prius.
Beckley leans and reaches. I'll never see you again. I'll never see you again. Lavender ones, I'll never see you again. He bets $3.9 million now.
Got a heart? I feel like my hand's pretty good.
Only the queen, jack, or 10 of hearts would beat McKeehen.
It's a good sized bet, regardless of what you have.
Call. Win. And Josh Beckley hands over critically needed chips to Joe McKeehen.
McKehen's running well and playing well. Who can beat him?
Over $108 million now at the expense of Josh Beckley, who played right into the chip leader's hands.
That one deserved a little extra.
The finish line is a lot closer for Joe McKeehen. He has nearly 60% of the chips in play. Wow. Vegas makes millionaires on an almost nightly basis. Tonight, a table full of millionaires at this final table with that bracelet going to the champion.
Some guy predicted us heads up, right? They predicted you winning?
No, actually, they predicted Max and me heads up, and Max winning.
Still alive.
Joe under the gun. Ace Queen.
The way McKeehen is running, I don't know if anyone is even going to make it to heads up with him.
Right? Blinds at $500,000 and $1 million. There's a minimum raise to $2 million. The ante is $150,000 alone. Ace Jack for Steinberg in the big blind.
You do not want Ace Jack at this final table. Butteroni, Neuville, and Stern all have busted with Ace Jack. Steinberg has 16 big blinds left.
The short stack.
All in. Re-raise, all in.
You heard him. There's the call. Max staring at fourth place, dominated by McKeehen.
Ace Queen, Ace Jack. I have Ace Queen.
It seems like every time a short stack player picks up a good hand against McKeehen, McKeehen has a better hand.
Many in the poker community gave Max the best shot to run down Joe and his chip lead, but that has not materialized. Steinberg with Ace Jack. McKeehen with Ace Queen. Looking for his fourth knockout, and that is no help for Steinberg.
Steinberg on the precipice. McKeehen knocking them out one at a time.
No flushes, just runner straights.
Max looking for any help, as is his well-dressed supporting crowd. Turn card gives Max some more outs to win or chop.
6 for half, 10 or jack for the loss. All other cards for the win.
McKeehen speaks the truth. With a river 6, Steinberg would chop the pot with a 10 or a jack. He'd take it all. Otherwise, Max is done, and we are three-handed.
The river card for Max Steinberg's main event. It's the tray of diamonds. McKeehen scores another elimination, perhaps his strongest rival of the bunch.
Steinberg goes out without much of a fight tonight. This November 9 has been all about one man, Joe McKeehen.
Fourth place for Max Steinberg. The Joe Juggernaut keeps gathering momentum. He holds 2/3 of the chips in play.
One more time for Max Steinberg, ladies and gentlemen.
He earns over $2.6 million. We're down to our final three. McKeehen sitting right where he started at the top. Blumenfield and Beckley a distant second and third. Joe is playing well and running well, and we know that is a very tough combo to overcome. Kara right now is with Max Steinberg.
Out in fourth place, Max, you had an incredible game. This final table, though, did you play the game that you really wanted to play?
I think I prepared for the game that I wanted to play. I attempted to execute it as best possible. I think that, I think that I really played my best, and it didn't really show with everything. And hopefully I can be back soon so I can show the world something a little different. But I'm happy with everything, and obviously I was very fortunate.
With such a huge chip lead to start this final table, Joe McKeehen was the man to beat. 6 eliminations later, nothing has changed. With a dominating advantage and an uncanny sense of how the table is playing, Joe continues his march to a
hugely fortunate, especially for an amateur, to get as far as I have is a great thing in any world.
I always expected I would do something like this someday. That's why I got into poker.
Series of Poker Main Event final table is closing in. 3 players left. 1 person set to be crowned champion. Lon McKeehen back with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. Joe McKeehen, Josh Beckley, and Neil Blumenfield, the only players left from our original starting field of 6,420. McKeehen continues his seemingly inevitable march to the title.
Joe's set to win a huge payday, minus parental fees he will owe to the person to his left and the person to his right.
Neil Blumenfield repping the older demographics in this final 3.
Over 60 in chapeau clad. If he wins, this could be the new look of poker.
Josh Beckley has made a name for himself here in his first main event.
Play the biggest tournament in the world for the first time and make the final table? If he wins this baby, he should walk out that tunnel and never come back. He'd be the J.D. Salinger of poker.
Gentlemen, good luck.
3's the perfect number, right?
Joe McKeehen mostly responsible for how we got 3-handed, eliminating 4 players from this final table so far. Next payout worth almost $3.4 million. On the button, the 25-year-old Jersey pro Josh Beckley began this final table in 7th. He folds to McKeehen, 193 million chips in play. He's got 128 million of them.
McKeehen has had the chip lead this entire main event final table. He's trying to Jamie Gold it to the bracelet.
King 10 off with a call. Blumenfield, the 61-year-old San Francisco amateur, really upped his game at this final table.
But Joe doesn't mind seeing flops with Neil. Figures he can outplay him post-flop.
He's going to have to pay more, though, with Queen 8 off. Blumenfield raises to $3 million.
And McKeehen probably prefers keeping the pot small. He'll only really bet big when he's got a big hand.
He does call the blinds at $500,000 and $1 million right now with a 150K ante. The flop, Trey 6-10, top pair for McKeehen. Blumenfield missed. If there's a flop to be hit, McKeehen is the one to hit it. He checks.
I love Neil, but if the fedora got you here, how do you go to the cowboy hat? Plus, fedoras are more comfortable and they're way more San Francisco than cowboy hats.
Neil told me he loves the continuation bet. Here is one for $2.2 million with nothing.
Continuation bet in a fedora always looks better.
Well, he loves to see bet unless he gets called, and that's what McKeehen does. Look how quickly the pots build. 7 of diamonds. McKeehen still ahead. Blumenfield does pick up a gut shot. Joe McKeehen checks again with top pair.
Well, McKeehen probably thinks he's best here, but he will let Blumenfield do the bidding.
Neil, $3.5 million. That's 10% of the stack he had to start this hand.
In for a dime, in for $3.5 million. Does McKeehen fear the cowboy hat like he would fear the fedora?
To call this would only cost Joe 2.7% of his stack, and that's what he does. All right, a river card with almost $18 million in the middle. 5 of clubs. McKeehen best with top pair. 3rd club on board. Joe checks again.
Does Neil Blumenfield have a 3-barrel bluff in him? He can't win the pot unless he bets at it. And as you mentioned, nearly $18 million in there for the taking.
Wow. Neil set the Penn and Teller Theater on fire early on with his play, and it looks like he wants to continue to be aggressive. Here is a river bluff of $7 million. Neil's girlfriend Pascal very close by.
Well, the flush got there. Plus, McKehen's got to worry Neil might have a big pocket pair.
How you feeling? Having fun yet? You don't strike me as the type of guy that has a flush. Could be wrong, though.
No, you're right.
I'm not going to raise you, I promise. Either calling or folding, I'm not sure which yet. This is a tough one you put me in.
Good call. And Blumenfield gets picked off by the chip leader.
What was my guy thinking?
A big loss to Neil. The chip leader gets stronger.
That bluff works with the fedora, just saying.
Neil, the short stack now under 20 million. Another important and correct decision from McKeehen. McKeehen on the button, 9 tray off suit.
Initially, his parents were unsure about his poker path, but Joe had a lot of early success.
He's going to raise it up with 9 tray to 2 million. Why not? Ace-9 for Neil in the small blind.
And that bluff gone bad left Neil with under 20 big blinds. He was involved in software startups for 30 years. He says tech startups are a lot like tournament poker, very high variance and only 10% of them cash.
McKeehen, a very interested observer.
All in.
You heard him. All in for 19-6. McKeehen gives it up, and Neil will take it.
They didn't cheer when you went all in.
Neil wins a few chips back after that failed bluff, a move that might not have helped his public image.
If you read over the internet, nobody's picking me to win this thing. Most people aren't picking me to finish very high. In fact, nobody's even mentioning me, really, when they talk about the top 3 or 4 players.
He's on a short stack now, but he's used to it. He finished day 5, 68th in chips out of 69. He was dead last in chips when 39 players remained.
Neil scored 3 cashes for almost $40,000 during the November Niner break. Both McKeehen and Beckley actually won tournaments during that break. Blumenfield with pocket 9s, a raise to $2.5 million. Beckley folds, now McKeehen. Jack 10.
McKeehen tonight went retro wearing an Allen Iverson 76ers jersey.
There is a call for $1.5 million. Heads up, Blumenfield and McKeehen. The pocket 9s for Neil hold up.
Joe might want to trademark his hard right fist to the felt. The McKeehen check.
Now with the leading pocket 9s, $2.3 million from Neil. Not much for Joe to work with, and he will not get involved any further.
Blumenfield picking up a little momentum again.
Neil with another small victory, but at this blind level, they add up quickly. If he can keep it moving in the right direction, he could be a force once again.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion.
Oh, yeah.
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that fight?
Go to get.pokergo.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Welcome back. Neil Blumenfield hanging on in 3rd place as we play 3-handed here at the 2015 World Series of Poker Main Event Final Table.
Thank you, Pascal.
Action on Beckley under the gun. He folds. McKeehen in the small blind. Queen 6 suited.
Joe McKeehen has a lot of chips.
Yeah, he does, over 141 million. He just calls, though. Neil with king tray of clubs.
Blumenfield trying to become the 2nd oldest man to win the main event. Johnny Moss won 3 main event titles when he was in his 60s, the last one in 1974 when he was 66. Neil is 61.
Bargain flop for these two. Deuce 4 tray, a gut shot for McKeehen. Blumenfield ahead with a pair of trays. McKeehen with $1 million.
Dan Harrington famously said in 2004 that no one over the age of 50 would win the main event again because it's such a long grind nowadays. I think he's wrong.
10 of clubs on the turn after Neil called. No help to McKeehen. Blumenfield adds a flush draw.
The thing is, 50's the new 40, 60's the new 50, 70's the new 60. One day, because of better nutrition and medical breakthroughs, 120 might be the new 90.
Dan never knew all that stuff, though. Check to the river. Queen of clubs. What a card. Neil with a flush. Joe with top pair.
Then again, because of nuclear warfare and global warming, maybe there's no Earth in another 200 years.
That was quite McKeehen-like on the river of Blumenfield.
Hey, where are we in the hand?
Yeah, we're all the way down here. Neil has the best hand right now with the flush.
Cool.
But McKeehen is betting $1.8 million.
Well, McKeehen probably figuring queens now is the best hand. He's looking to get called by a smaller pair. But Blumenfield with the second nut flush.
And needing chips. And when you need chips, you got to go to the bank. That man's the bank. How much does he think he can get from Joe? Blumenfield with a raise to $5 million. Joe now looks like an adjudicator. What are you up to, Neil?
Got a pretty big hand. But now I don't think it's so good anymore.
McKehen's reads have been pretty spot on at this final table.
I think he got me beat.
And he folds. Neil gets some chips from the chip leader, maybe not as many as he would have liked.
It's a cowboy hat. Fear the fedora.
Actually, I think it really is a fedora, Norman.
Oh,
like
never mind.
7-3 of clubs or something?
Exactly.
I couldn't beat that. It was a good river for you. Throwing in Annie. Got exactly 7-3 of clubs. Nice hand.
So Neil moves into second place now, just ahead of Josh Beckley, but way behind McKeehen. Neil has led a well-rounded life, but just before the main event, he was laid off. So to call this final table run well-timed would be an understatement.
He always thought his best chance to win a bracelet would be the seniors event. Well, Neil and Pierre Neuville turned the main event into the seniors event.
I didn't want you to race.
Action is on 61-year-old Neil Blumenfield, 10-5. And he leaves the McKeehen conundrum in the capable young hands of Josh Beckley with Jack 9 of hearts.
25 years old from Marlton, New Jersey.
Just calling for $500,000.
Limping in the small blind is the new raising, just like scarves are the new hoodies.
McKeehen with 9 deuce. He can play for free, and he does check his option as Josh lets the monster in the door for free. All right, here's the flop. 6-5 trade. Jack high is best for Beckley. Josh also flopped a flush draw.
By the way, scarves are a kinder, gentler hoodie. And I tip my hat to the modern scarves and poker pioneers, Dario Minieri, Marvin Redmeyer, and George Dancer.
Beckley checks. McKeehen fires $1 million. Beckley licking his chops. He does have the flush draw. 2 overs to the board. Oh, and a check raise to $3.3 million.
Well, check raise. That's a lost art at this final table.
And it gets Joe's attention.
I don't have the heart right now. Maybe later.
Literally and figuratively. Well played, Mr. Beckley.
Josh and Neil trying to peck away at Joe. They have a lot of pecking to do.
Good bluff.
We'll see.
Good bluff.
You'll see.
Good bluff. And a very bad hand to continue with.
Joe still cross-examining for any shred of evidence. A wry smile from Josh. He knows he'll need a lot more pots like that. Back inside the Penateller Theater at the Rio All-Suite Hotel and Casino, 3-handed for the title. Couple of young guns and Neil Blumenfield. 2 East Coasters and Neil Blumenfield. No one with a bracelet, no one with double-digit World Series of Poker cashes.
This was definitely an East Coast final table with Patrick Chan and Tom Cannuli also here. So East Coasters are shouting, we're #1 in America. No, poker-wise, I rank Southern California #1, Maryland, my Maryland #2, and Florida #3.
Beckley on the button, King Jack offsuit.
A lot of hands I could flop there.
Beckley with $27 million, Neil with $25.7 million, a raise to $2.3 million. McKeehen with King 9.
Joe likes the dynamic of 2 short stacks. He can attack while they try to outlast each other.
He's going to get out of the way and let them go heads up if Neil is game. In the big blind, Ace-7 of hearts for Blumenfield.
6 straight amateurs won the main event starting in 2002. Robert Varconi, Chris Moneymaker, Greg Raymer, Joe Hashem, Jamie Gold, and then Jerry Yang in 2007, the last amateur to win it all before the 20-something crowd took over the poker world. Other than Moneymaker, all those amateurs were 35 and older.
Blumenfield putting raising chips together. Each minor stack worth $1 million, and Neil makes it $6 million to go.
Blumenfield has been quite aggressive pre-flop at this final table.
All in.
Beckley raises Neil all in.
That's a great 4-bet shove from Beckley. I mean, they have virtually identical stacks. This would be for all of Blumenfield's chips.
Neil's best, but is this the hand he's willing to risk everything on?
Yeah, just ace-7. I just don't think this is the hand he's going to risk everything on. It is the best hand, but he could be dominated. He could be up against a big pocket pair.
Over the long days and nights, the suckouts, the bad beats. Ace-7 suited. Is it now, Neil? He does give it up. And Josh Beckley picking on the other two now.
You guys are raising and re-raising a lot today. You guys must be getting some real good cards, huh? Especially you, buddy.
Beckley gets some separation and drops Blumenfield under 20 big blinds.
All right, so a big event, a big venue, big money on the line. We're down to a table of 3 here at the 46th World Series of Poker. Joe McKeehen sitting on almost 139 million chips and pocket fives.
He's not sitting on those chips, they're right in front of him.
McKeehen with a raise to $2 million.
It's uncomfortable to sit on chips.
How would you know?
Good for you.
Blumenfield folds. Beckley now with the ace-7 offsuit.
Josh, like Joe, still living at home this year, but in preparation for the November 9, he moved to West Palm Beach, and living away from his parents for the first time, he learned to shop for food for the first time. 7-Eleven, I'm sure, is very happy about this.
Beckley makes the call for $1 million more. The flop, 4 Queen 8. Beckley misses. McKeehen is still best with a small pocket pair.
During the break, Beckley won a World Series circuit ring in West Palm Beach. McKeehen won a Windfall Classic event here in Las Vegas.
Beckley checks.
I'm telling you, when McKeehen checks, you feel a tremor here at the Penn and Teller Theater.
Another queen on the turn. Beckley with $1.6 million.
Beckley takes a stab at it. McKeehen wondering if his pocket fives are good.
Joe's grandparents made the trip from back east. There's a call with the fives.
In general, when McKeehen has been sticky, he has been right.
River card now. Tray of diamonds with the pocket fives. Joe is not unhappy with that board. Check to Joe.
And Joe knows almost certainly he's good here.
That is $3.5 million.
Beckley with the ace high. Wondering if Joe is betting a missed flush. Ace high could be good.
But Beckley has to give it up. McKeehen had the best of it, and we've said that a lot. Not sure if Joey Ice Cube will catch on, but Joe has been doing just fine without a nickname. His chip lead continues to grow. The Global Poker Index World Series of Poker Player of the Year was awarded to Mike Gorodinsky. Mike's World Series was highlighted by a win in the $50,000 Players Championship.
Gorodinsky, a great mixed games player, edged Jonathan Duhamel and Kevin McPhee for Player of the Year. Duhamel, McPhee, Brian Hastings, and Max Pescatore, all double bracelet winners this year.
There's Josh Beckley, currently second in chips. If he looks a little different than he did this summer, there's a good reason why.
The best thing that I did with my time off was to better myself. I started eating really healthy. I did a juice cleanse and I started working out, focusing on my body and my health.
Juice cleanse? I favor a rack of ribs cleanse.
Bluffing me on the turn, Josh? Huh? Bluffing me on the turn? That's not nice. I was playing honest with you, and then you were just betting with nothing? That's not nice. Come on.
I didn't bet with nothing.
What's that?
I didn't bet with nothing.
I believe you.
Beckley with a raise to $2.5 million with a weak ace. Joe in the big blind, 10-8.
Pretty boring river for you.
He will come along. Beckley told us as a cash game player he was never afraid to lose his bankroll. That attitude in tournaments is critical. Here's the flop. 10-7-6. Bottom pair for Beckley. Top pair with a gut shot for McKeehen.
Yeah, Josh was never afraid to lose his bankroll, and he kept losing his entire bankroll.
Feast or famine with this Jersey pro. He bets $1.9 million.
His senior year at Arcadia University in 2013, McKeehen won a World Series circuit main event in Atlantic City, and he won a smaller World Series circuit event in New Orleans. A lot of success early on for Joe.
Josh, of course, won a World Series circuit ring during the break. McKeehen called. Turn card now, another 6, and Beckley with trip 6s.
Somebody finally gets lucky on Joe McKeehen.
Right. Beckley now the one to beat. Beckley with the action. 3.6 million.
Joe probably not going to put Josh on a 6 here, so his 10s with a gut shot still looks pretty good.
Well, his bet, as I have said many times, is a tell. 3-6. He's got 3 6s.
Huh.
Don't follow me down that road. McKeehen makes the call. River card now. 5 of hearts. Good card for Beckley, as that does not threaten McKehen's top pair. Josh can bet with confidence with his trip 6s. $6.2 million.
So what you doing here, Josh?
Turn-in trips. Plan for $7.7 million.
Why do I keep finding myself in this spot? Why couldn't you bet $10 million? I know what to do by now. Probably give you your money. Now I'm confused.
Joe saying if Josh had bet more, he would have snap called.
I had a feeling, too, when I saw the flop, you were going to bet 3 times. Just didn't know if you were or not. I mean, that came pretty clean for me. I wouldn't be slow rolling if I was a bit better by now. This is another really good bet, whether you have it or not. You know that, right? Like your bet sizes are good against me.
Sometimes he stares at you, sometimes he chats at you.
You know, Antonio says it's hard to make a pair. Is this true? Or are you like, just good at it today?
Antonio also says it's hard to make a final table. He used to.
You know I'm sticky, right? Don't normally have it. In your bet anyway. That's strong. And I want to pay you your money, Josh.
There's the call. What a nice pot for Josh Beckley.
Somebody finally takes a dent out of Joe's big stack.
Another hefty increase. That tightens Beckley's grip on second place. He's got $45 million. Chip leader is still the chip leader.
Didn't look like a 6 with it either. Yeah. Flipped it over. I would have won if it wasn't a 6. Well, it could be something else too, but good hand. Thanks. Good turn card. Had to get outdrawn eventually.
That's one.
Ace of clubs too, huh?
Yeah, that's a significant pot. Yep. Now, if Josh were to double up through Joe, he would become chip leader.
Beckley folded. McKeehen, ace-5 offsuit. He just calls from the small blind. Neil now in the big blind.
McKeehen again limping against Blumenfield's big blind.
9-4. Yeah, he'll check his options. See a cheap flop. Chip leader against the short stack. Ace, 4, 8, both get a piece. Top pair for McKeehen, bottom pair for Blumenfield. $1 million from Joe.
And limping really pays dividends when you do it with an ace, and an ace flops. It's deceptive.
$1 million from Neil.
Yeah, you can't blame Neil for calling here with bottom pair.
Joe still best, and he adds a flush draw.
Oh, this is the way Joe has run much of this final table. He hits the flop, and then he turns a flush draw.
And pounds the table this time. Sure. Let's see a free river card. Tray of clubs, so what they flopped is what they got.
Well, McKeehen will bet for value here. I often check for value, which is an avant-garde move.
You hate commitment. With a pair of aces, $1.8 million from Joe McKeehen.
Blumenfield with 4th pair. He really can only beat a bluff. And why wouldn't the big stack try to bluff once in a while?
Well, Joe really hasn't had to up to this point. He keeps having it. But Neil thinks he might be. A call, and that's more damage done to Neil's stack.
Not a huge pot, but McKeehen back in stride, and Blumenfield deflated a bit more.
Joe, you see, with almost 133 million, the main event beginning to slip away from Neil. But order is restored at this championship table. McKeehen rakes in another pot. The World Series of Poker final table is in the home stretch. Joe McKeehen with a massive chip lead. Josh Beckley waiting for a double up. Neil Blumenfield hanging on for dear life with just 10 big blinds.
I don't blame you.
Blumenfield played competitive hockey for 20 years, but finally decided he could not skate with the 20-somethings anymore. Of course, with just 10 big blinds. He's now on thin ice here against these 20-somethings.
Ooh, well done.
All of it, Sean.
All in with Queen Jack of diamonds. Beckley folds, McKeehen folds, and that is worth 1.8 million new chips. Don't discount that strategy. They add up.
Did you have 7 deuce? I could beat 7 deuce, actually. I had a 7 deuce dominated. Tight fold, huh? At 7 high.
I had 3 high.
That was a good one to open. Like, the biggest card between us was a 7.
It was a race.
They gave him pocket ones, and I'm not talking about the aces.
The first amateur to win the main event was Hal Fowler in 1979. He beat Bobby Hoff heads up in what sometimes is referred to as the greatest upset in main event history.
Ace 7 on the button for Josh Beckley. A raise to 2 million. McKeehen with pocket queens.
McKeehen is a remarkable closer. Of his 89 recorded cashes, 46 final tables. 28 times he's finished third or better with 13 wins. Of course, he still hasn't won the main event, let alone any World Series event.
He came close in 2014. Second place in the Monster Stack event. Going to the raising deck. And there's the 3-bet to 5.4 million. Neil with pocket deuces.
All in.
Neil says all of it, almost 12 million. Beckley folds, snap call from McKeehen, and once again McKeehen with a chance to knock out another player.
I have queens, he has 2s.
And the man with 2s cannot be happy. Neil couldn't wait forever, but in this spot, at best he was flipping, and as it turns out, he is crushed by McKehen's pocket queens.
He followed up McKehen's 3-bet with his own shove. And now McKeehen with a chance to go heads up against Josh Beckley if he can get a clean run out.
I got 2/3 of the place rooting for me. Okay.
Indeed, the Beckley camp also rooting for the knockout so they can go heads up. Blumenfield needs to find a lucky Fedora real fast.
No help on any front for Neil.
No runners. No runners. I have hearts too.
The 61-year-old amateur's bid to rock the poker world has come down to a deuce. He needs one on the turn or the river.
The turn card now. Another 4. Neil still in need.
Yeah, red card's a win. Most of the black cards are too.
Blumenfield's got to have a deuce or it's McKeehen and Beckley for the title.
The river card is a king. McKeehen takes the pot. Neil Blumenfield takes third place.
Excellent. You played better than every single person expected.
Neil Blumenfield said getting to the November 9 was nirvana, and I've got to say, watching him get this deep was nirvana too.
He deserves the accolades. It wasn't the way Neil Blumenfield wanted it to end, but it was an impressive run nonetheless. $3.4 million for third place. That goes a long way in retirement, even in San Francisco. Well done, Neil. But now it's time for the big money. We are heads up in Las Vegas. Joe McKeehen trying to finish where he started this final table. Josh Beckley trying to turn his first main event into a championship. Joe with a huge lead, but Josh talented enough to pull this off.
So it's heads up between two Philadelphia area 20-somethings. Both once worked at a grocery store, both still living at home when this main event began.
During the break, Kara Scott caught up with our third place finisher.
Neil Blumenfield came in as the amateur at our table and has placed third in the World Series of Poker main event. Talk to us first about the experience of coming all this way here.
Well, it was unreal. I mean, obviously, I never expected ever in my life to be here. So, making the final table was great. Making it to day 10 was awesome. So I feel very, very fortunate. Great experience.
$7.7 million in that amazing World Championship bracelet for our winner of this heads-up match.
It's just wire to wire sound good? Wire to wire sound good?
What do you mean?
If someone went wire to wire in this tournament, does that sound good?
I don't think Josh is wire to wire fluent.
I don't know what Joe wants Josh to say to that. Beckley with Queen 9 of clubs, a raise to $2.3 million, 10-4 of diamonds for McKeehen.
Josh from Marlton, New Jersey. Joe from North Wales, Pennsylvania. They live about an hour from each other in the Philadelphia area. Both often play at Parks Casino.
Take a second here. It's kind of just came. We didn't take an official break or anything.
Yeah.
McKeehen calls. Here's our flop. A 4 in the window, and bottom pair is best for Joe as Beckley misses. Joe with that big check.
This is going to be the 8th straight year a 20-something has won the main event.
$2.1 million from Josh Beckley.
Peter Eastgate, Joe Cata, Jonathan Duhamel, P.S. Hines, Greg Merson, Ryan Reese, Martin Jacobson. All of them under 25 except Jacobson, who was 27.
Joe makes the call.
The first decade of the main event, the 1970s, only one 20-something won, Bobby Baldwin.
Jack of spades on the turn. Beckley with a gut shot. McKeehen is best, but it's still bottom pair, and he checks.
The patented McKeehen right fist check, and it's going to lead to Beckley posturing at this pot again.
Indeed, Beckley fires $3.2 million. And he gets the boss to fold.
If at first you don't succeed, try again. Beckley shakes McKeehen, thereby bluffing at it a second time.
Even the longest journey begins with a single step. Josh Beckley now with almost $38 million.
To bluff me? To bluff me? No? You're going to say no every time I ask you that question?
Yeah.
Okay. It's good you know now. I might bluff you by saying I bluffed you when I didn't bluff you.
Conversations with McKeehen always seem a little uncomfortable. When you're talking with him, it just feels like trying to eat soup with a fork.
McKeehen in the small blind and the button. Heads up, 7-5 offsuit. A raise to $2 million. Beckley with king 4. Any king is terrific. Heads up. And he wants to re-raise it. Makes it $4.8 million.
Beckley has come out firing. He had the 2-barrel bluff the previous hand, now a 3-bet here. Heads up is all about feel and the read on your opponent.
And that's where McKeehen has been at his best this entire final table. Is he going to the raising deck?
Yes.
Yeah, 4-bet to $10.2 million.
They say you don't bet the cards, you bet the man. Joe has Josh squirming here under his scarf. Will it be a 5-bet from Josh or a fold?
What a move here by McKeehen. And he gets Beckley to fold. Josh gives back the chips he just won from Joe with interest.
Joe McKeehen has been chip leader this entire main event final table.
With an even 160 million chips. Josh down below 33 million. Joe and Josh make an interesting heads-up tandem because both of them should have been out of this main event a long time ago. Back on day 6, Josh had Joe all in and crush pre-flop before Joe flopped a Broadway draw.
And that 10 on the river kept Joe McKeehen alive. Otherwise, he's gone.
On day 7, Joe rivered a straight and tested Josh holding top pair, top kicker.
And if Josh called here, he would be gone.
How good do you run, Joe?
I promise I had you.
Yeah.
And now these two find themselves heads up for a world championship. Queen 7 off for Beckley. A raise to $2 million.
Sometimes it's the hands you don't play that get you here. When we were down to 3 tables, Joe raised with pocket 10s on the button. The small blind then shoved. The big blind also went all in. If the big blind didn't play, Joe would have called. The small blind had pocket 7s and hit a 7 on the flop. Joe would have lost half his stack.
Jack 8 suited, a call from McKeehen. The flop is, of course, trip jacks for McKeehen.
No, McKeehen flopping trips there, I believe, was 90%.
And a big check. Beckley. With 1 foot in the trap, bets $1.6 million.
Well, Josh with the standard continuation bet in position, or as I call it, the SCBIP.
Mike Matiso's made a couple of main event final tables.
In this century, and it seems forever ago.
Just a call from Joe.
Often the SCBIP takes it down, not here.
Turn card. Josh officially drawing dead now.
Check.
Another check.
McKeehen hoping to use Beckley's aggression against him again.
Bluff part 2.
Looks like it.
2 feet in the trap, $3.5 million.
Beckley obliges again. And because McKeehen audited a couple of Norman Chad School of Poker courses, he knows a check call here is in order.
There it is. $14.5 million in the middle. River card. 9 of clubs. McKeehen checks again.
McKeehen wants to see if Beckley has a 3-barrel bluff in him. Indeed, Josh has a lot of heart. Unfortunately for him, in this spot, he has no hand and no hope.
Yeah, but he knows he's got to move chips to give himself a chance, but like so many before him, he's running into the pit of despair.
3rd club did come on the river, but I don't think McKehen's worried about that.
And Josh now up to his waist in the trap, $4.7 million.
Call.
Quick call.
Not a flush?
No. No.
Josh gave it his best shot, but what a flop for McKeehen.
Sorry for that.
No, it's okay.
Josh likes to take a sip of water after all bluffs, good or bad. McKeehen now overwhelmingly in command.
An 8-1 chip lead for Joe McKeehen. Josh Beckley had started down the comeback trail, but Joe McKeehen just put up a massive roadblock. This is still Joe's final table to win.
The best poker content on the internet.
Your super high rollerball 7 champion.
Oh, yeah.
Wheels are coming off.
That's the craziest hand I've ever seen. What was that bite?
Go to get.pokerco.com/YT24 for $20 off a new annual subscription.
Back at the Rio, Joe McKeehen trying to close out Josh Beckley and make this championship official. Beckley has the action ace-deuce.
Beckley in his first main event, 6,420 entrants, and he's going to finish 1st or 2nd. It just seems like it's all downhill from here.
Beckley limps McKeehen with pocket 10s.
Pocket 10s were Martin Jacobson's winning hand at last year's main event. The last time the same hand won the main event back-to-back was in 1995 and 96. Dan Harrington and Huckseed each had 9-8 of diamonds. And, of course, Doyle Brunson did it first with back-to-back 10-deuce in 1976 and 77.
A raise from McKeehen. Can he get Beckley to oblige here? No, he folds.
Ace-deuce folding there. I'm surprised.
Joe teasing Josh with almost showing his cards. As Joe moves closer to the title, his attire is worth pointing out. Back in 2013, Ryan Reese wore a Calvin Johnson jersey when he won. Greg Merson went with Adam Jones in 2012. Tonight, McKeehen goes retro with the Iverson jersey.
Smart move by McKeehen not to go with a current 76er. I don't think they've won a game this season.
I really didn't want to have it there, but I did. I'd feel more gangster if I didn't have it there. Just be like, I got him. Finally got him. Got his limp, but I was hoping you were limp shoving.
FYI, nobody's ever had pocket aces as the winning last hand at the main event.
The coaches don't need to tell you that I would have called with the hand I had.
I feel bad saying this, but the guys in the background behind Joe look a little silly now with the fedoras with Neil gone.
Oh, you're right.
Maybe it's hat hair. Who knows? McKeehen with ace-king and a raise to $2 million.
We haven't even played 10 hands of heads up, and McKeehen has flopped trips, had pocket 10s, and now ace-king. At the moment, Beckley has to make do with 8-7.
Right.
Well, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade. So when life gives you 8-7, make an 8 high straight.
There you go. He calls for $1 million more. The flop is 5-king-jack. Need I repeat myself? top pair for Joe.
Who didn't see that coming? But hey, Beckley can still make an 8-high straight.
Check.
He checks it to McKeehen. He would need runner-runner.
A lot of success in this world is built on runner-runner.
$2 million from Joe McKeehen.
Beckley's options are limited.
Just no.
And he folds again.
I can just imagine what the commentators are saying about how ridiculous I'm running right now. how many like top 10 hands I've had heads up already. I had like 4.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
By the way, we are not commentators. We are professional broadcasters. At least Lon is.
On your shove there, and you're probably drawing dead. Put a flop. It's the other thing. My ace king hit twice. Wow.
Now Josh knows how good Joe is running. All right, Beckley has the action. Pocket 4s. He says all in.
Call.
Ace-10 for Joe. This could be it.
We're flipping. Ace-10 4s.
Nobody flips with McKeehen. You simply pray.
Beckley comfortable with his shove.
One turn of a card can change one life forever. If Joe McKeehen doesn't hit a 10 on the river on day 6, he's just another average Joe. One of 1,000 largely anonymous faces cashing in this main event. There was a 9% chance that card would come. It came, and he goes from average Joe to maybe world champion Joe McKeehen.
Pocket 4s for Beckley. Ace-10 for McKeehen. Here's the flop, a 10 in the window! And now it's Beckley needing to find a poker miracle to stay alive.
No runners, just a 4.
McKeehen should change the license plate on his Prius to no runners.
Anything but a 4. Anything but a 4.
Beckley drawing very thin here. Turn card, another 5. Beckley down to his last chance.
Have the right amount of spots. If I win, stay there until I talk to Josh, okay?
If he wins. Boy, can't believe he's not more optimistic.
Now the river card.
Beckley's got to have a 4.
The river's a jack. Joe McKeehen goes wire to wire. He's the 2015 world champ.
You played great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah. It's pretty sick that we came to the end.
He was focused, he was fearless, and for 184 hands at this final table, Joe McKeehen never gave up the chip lead.
A very different final table than when Martin Jacobson won last year, but just as impressive.
We're the best. You know that. You're the best.
Well, sure, now he can afford to move out.
His parents always supported him playing the game, and look at him now, Ma. So the final table wraps. The chip leader to start ends with all the chips. An impressive performance from McKeehen.
He made it look easy.
He may not have been the most outspoken. He definitely wasn't the best dressed. But when all was said and done, Joe McKeehen was the best player. Joe took the pressure of chip leader and turned it into a dominating main event win. For Philadelphia, a true champion. And for McKeehen, a well-deserved massive payout. For Norman, Chad, Kara Scott, and our entire crew, I'm Lon McKeehen. We'll see you next year. Joe McKeehen, 2015 World Series of Poker Main Event Champion.